Thank you, Rika.
Welcome.
Rika, tell me, how long have you been working at Norm?
I'm
Norms.
working, maybe 2 months for the 1 year.
And where are you from in Indonesia?
I'm from Sumatra.
Wow, where in Sumatra?
Yes.
Where?
Bangka Belitung.
Wow, I have been to Samosir, Bukittinggi, etc.
Samosir?
Yeah,
Wow,
of course.
nice.
Yes, it is nice. This is very good value, so I'm looking forward to eating. Thank you, Rika.
Thank you so much, Mr. What's your name?
My name's Philip.
Philip?
Nice to meet
Nice
you.
to meet you, Mr. Philip.
Nice to meet you, Rika. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Bye, thank you. So, today we are at Norm. This is Breakfast with Phil in what I believe to be possibly one of the best priced breakfasts. We're in Tuban, which is near Kuta. For this and for the cappuccino, the price is 55,000 rupees, which is approximately $3 or £2.50. Now, most places in Indonesia will add a tax of 21%. Don't forget that. So the majority of your food, breakfast, lunch, dinner, you will always add approximately 20% to the price. Okay, so I'm going to eat. Today we're going to talk about the riots of 1998. 1998 was a life-changing year for me, not just because of the riots. Anyway, let me eat and we'll come back in a minute. Thank you. Okay, once again, welcome to Breakfast with Phil. And today we're going to talk about the riots of 98. At the time, oh, by the way, the breakfast was absolutely gorgeous. Well worth a visit just for the breakfast. Norm in Tuban. Well done, Norm. So, today we're going to talk about the riots. And at the time of the riots, there was a band called Quiet Riot. And it was a heavy metal band. And of course, Quiet Riot is an oxymoron. And I learned that in 98 because I'm telling you, riots can be quite noisy. So here we go about the riots of 1998. So I've been living in Indonesia, or specifically Jakarta, for approximately 10 years, a little over. And at a later stage, I'll be discussing what I call the Suharto years, from approximately 88 to 98. 98, of course, is the year of the riots. So, what happens during the riots? Let's first of all look at the origins. Well, the origins of the riots started in 97 with the financial crisis. At the time, about a year prior to the riots, the rupiah was approximately 2,500 rupees. Can you imagine that was to the US dollar? Within a year, it was approximately 16,000 rupees. So the devaluation of the currency led to the riots. But there were other factors. Another factor, of course, was corruption, especially by the Suharto family. They started to be very disliked. Some of the sons and a daughter, they had their fingers in so many pies. The economy, of course, was crumbling, and and as we will see, it was actually the students who would, what we will call, cause the spark to the riots. Okay, so the day prior to the riots, I had been driving towards town, and when I say town, the city centre, which is HI, for those people who know, Hotel Indonesia, and I'd taken the toll past DPR, and it was about 3 o'clock. I'd finished work, and as I was going through, there were the crowds of students on the toll road demonstrating specifically against Suharto. So, I got to my destination, which was the Goose and Durian, which was a bar in the British Embassy. The British Embassy had the best location for all embassies in Jakarta. And as I was at the embassy, news started coming through that there'd been a huge riot, and it was believed at the time some of the students had been shot and killed. Not good news. Anyway, in the evening, I went to Sogo to get my wife's birthday present. It was her birthday the following day, in fact the day of the riots. So I'm in Sogo at about 7:30, and all of a sudden there's a lot of sirens going off. You could feel tension already, and I quickly bought her gift, and shutters were coming down, got in my car, started driving home. And one thing I noticed as I was driving, and strangely, very strangely, Phil Collins was on the radio with Something in the Air Tonight. And I'm going through sending, we've got a few members of army, I'm guessing, with not riot shields, but military guns, and it was just a different vibe that evening as I went home to Cempakamas. Okay. So the following day, I was working, it was class, and I went in as usual with a bit of trepidation, I must admit, but I've never missed a day in my life, whether through sickness or any other reason. I'm happy to say I've never missed a day of work in my life. So, get in, and I'd say we were 2/3 full. Now at the time, our campus was in Ancol, which is a little bit further north, and it's a reasonably small campus, and we had about 800 students at the time, of which about 500 came that day. Our assemblies were at 7, and we started the assembly, class 3B were taking the assembly, and all of a sudden rumours started coming. Now you have to remember that this is during no mobile phone time. So generally very few people had mobile phones at the time. So it was word of mouth, and all of a sudden word of mouth, there was smoke on the horizon of the school, there were fires over here, and within about 5 minutes of the assembly finishing, the school started evacuating. And it was just normal. Parents were coming, grabbing the kids, everybody looked a bit tense. One thing I remember is a Korean, two Koreans, I think they were embassy, and they came, one of them definitely had a rifle or a machine gun. There's no doubt in my mind they took their child. But anyway, after a few minutes, maybe by 7:30, we'd almost evacuated the school. I lived far away, so I asked the principal for permission to leave with 3 teachers. I was going to take them to a safer area. So we got in the car and off we went. First notice was when we got to the toll road. Nothing to pay, it was free. In fact, bikes were going through. So the toll road, which I would have thought would be safe, but turned out to be an area you don't want to be on. We get on the toll road, we're driving down, and I decide to stop the car. There's no trouble on the toll road, and we look down. My God, I've never seen anything like it. Scenes of chaos, looting shops. It was like ants. It was just because, of course, we were looking from quite a distance onto just one street in the north of Jakarta, and it was pretty horrific. Got back in the car, off we went, and when I got to my apartment, I had to do a U-turn halfway down the street, but I decided not to do that. I just went the wrong way into the apartment. The teachers leave, and my wife and I spent pretty much the whole day on the balcony looking out. There'd be a fire at maybe 9 o'clock. There'd be another fire at 10. We were on the 11th floor. We got a great view of a certain part of Jakarta. And it was... Okay, the Koreans in Jakarta flew flags on their cars to distinguish themselves from Chinese. And a lot of businesses started writing on the shop front, Milik Pribumi, which means this business is owned by locals. words, not Chinese. In the thumbnail of this video, you will see me next to a tank. We were very lucky in our apartment. We had the military. The military slept underneath in the car park for 3 days, wired shields, etc. And I promise you, during this time, I slept like a baby. Okay. One little known fact about the riots is that the police left en masse the night before the riots. I wonder what they knew. But we'll never know. Also, we'll never know exactly what caused the riots. Students weren't rioting that morning. It wasn't them. And a lot of people focus on the military. But I don't know. I've got no idea who was behind the riots. But as with many things, somebody must be behind the riots. Okay. Jakarta and Indonesia gradually stabilized, though tensions maintained throughout months. It wasn't like gone in a day or two. There was tension in the air for at least a month or two. If there were a riot again, there's one place I would recommend anybody in Indonesia to head to. Bali. I promise you, Bali will be safe. On the day of the riots, most people fled to Singapore. A lot of people fled and they never returned. It was that devastating and traumatic for them. Okay. Now, finally, if you have interest in Indonesia, whether politically, economically, or historically, I thoroughly recommend A Nation in Waiting by Adam Schwartz. It goes into depth on all aspects of Indonesia, and it's written so well. So even if you're a tourist, bring the book A Nation in Waiting and learn a lot quickly about how Indonesia ticks. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I almost forgot. Ba, don't be a sheep.